Hey there, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, if you're watching Facebook Live or YouTube Live, those two gentlemen there, they're rock stars, Daniel Weiss and Josh Glaser. Guys, how are you?
We're good. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Glad you're here with us. You are all the way from Maryland, so a little further north of us, but at least in the Eastern time zone, so that's good.
Yeah.
And how are things in Maryland these days?
Yes, I'm in Maryland, and it's a beautiful day here. And Daniel's calling from Wisconsin. So
Wisconsin. Okay, so you guys are in separate places. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well,
so
you
he's
guys
on Central Time, so that's
there's
the difference there.
Yeah, you see, God's on Eastern Time. I don't know that Daniel prayed about where he is at all.
I don't know. I'd have to say God was in Central Time, but that's where I grew up. So,
hey, Josh and Daniel put together a book, and it's called this: Treading Boldly Through a Pornographic World, a Field Guide for Parents. Hey, guys, thanks for stepping out boldly where few choose to go, because when you talk about pornography, we tend to wince a bit. You know, it's like it's a little uncomfortable, but it's a very important topic that we need to talk about, especially when you have kids and teens. So let's begin from the beginning. This is your first book. Why did you choose this topic, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, we chose it for a couple of reasons. One, in our ministries, each of our ministries, we've been hearing from more and more parents who are really feeling overwhelmed and intimidated by raising kids in a digitally connected, pornography-saturated culture. And so we really felt like, parents need equipping. And at the same time, we know from our ministries that parents are kids' number one resource in this way. So for parents to feel overwhelmed and kind of like they're out of the game, but parents are needed, we felt like, man, let's write a book to really encourage, inspire, and equip parents to get in the game with their kids. And because if they don't, then the kids are going to go to the internet to find the answers they're looking for. And that's where the trouble begins.
Daniel, how about you? What kind of pushed you into writing this?
Well, I've been working on issues of pornography professionally for almost 20 years now. But I have kids, and this is an important topic for me personally, and for the families, my friends, and other people I know. It's just especially culture about this topic, and we wanted to equip parents to take a different approach, one that's really engaged, one that's courageous, and filled with faith and practical help.
Now, Josh, this being a field guide, I mean, where do you begin with something like this? Obviously, you can connect data from your experience, Daniel's experience as professionals and as ministers. But where do you go to connect with a 21st century world? Or is it all the same? Can you basically use all data from even in the past?
Yeah, interestingly, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of Christian parents make is the place they begin is thinking about the negative consequences of porn. And we do outline that in the book. Pornography is incredibly damaging for adults. It's even more damaging for kids, and what kids' brains are still developing. And so for them to be formed by pornography actually sets them up for a lifelong pattern of problems in their relationships and in this addictive behavior. But one of the places we really encourage parents to begin is by focusing not on what they're against, but what they're for. God has an incredible vision for sex and sexuality and gender. And most parents don't spend near enough time talking with their kids about the beauty and goodness of God's design. So we really want to advocate for parents to not just have one sex talk with their kids, but to really make this an ongoing conversation with their kids in age-appropriate ways from when they're very little until even after they leave the home. It's that important.
Do you find that parents are surprised at how easily teens can access pornography nowadays, or are we hip now to, it's pretty readily available? Are they kind of in the dark about it? What do you think? Either one of you guys.
Well, I think a lot of parents still assume they think my kid would never do that. Right. And we think that's the wrong question. It's not whether our kids are good or bad, or they're curious or not curious. The question really is pornography, especially online pornography, the kind of material that's And the answer is unequivocally no, it will not respect those boundaries. So we know parents have some wishful thinking, and I think with the research of how many kids are exposed and at earlier ages, we hope they begin to attack this or engage these issues from a proactive rather than a reactive standpoint. And I think that will make a lot of difference in communication and trust and relational health.
It's called Treading Boldly Through a Pornographic World, a field guide for parents. And hey, my boys are all grown, but a field guide, man, that would have been awesome for them as growing up with boys. And it's Daniel and Josh here, Daniel Weiss and Josh Glaser. On the press release that I received, there was a UNICEF release. It's been changed since it was released first in the report. But I want to read this, and Josh, if you'll just kind of comment on this. The UNICEF basically said that there's no agreement on the nature of harm caused to children by viewing content classified as pornography. Now, that is totally bizarre. I mean, in your right mind, who would say that? You know what I'm saying? It has since been changed, I'm sure, with enough fire because of the comment. But that's just where we are now, right? In our mindset in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, but it's almost not surprising. And I think this is the kind of stuff that parents really do well to wake up to. I was thinking this morning, if you got on a plane with your 13-year-old, your 7-year-old, and your 5-year-old, and you had to sit in different seats because they couldn't accommodate y'all. So maybe your 13-year-old sits a couple rows ahead. And halfway through the plane when they turn the seatbelt sign off, you get up and you go check on your 13-year-old. And there's a guy sitting 2 seats away from your 13-year-old showing them his phone with pornography on it. You'd be up in arms. I mean, you call the flight attendants, they'd be all sorts. But that is literally what's happening in our culture. It's the pornographers do not respect the boundaries of kids. They're making money, whether the person's 10 years old or whether they're 40 years old. And it's a sad state of affairs. But we do want to highlight just how hopeful it is, because kids really are hungry for a better vision. We're actually seeing more and more of this, even in the secular culture. Their kids and adults alike are longing for something better. And we believe God's got something better. And that's part of what this book's about.
Now, you can pre-order the book already online at the treadingboldly.com. When does the book actually come out, guys?
It releases today.
Today? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's no longer pre-ordering. You're ordering it now at treadingboldly.com. And you guys have some comments from heavy-hitting folks like Josh McDowell and Jim Daly. Talk about what folks have said about the book so far.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I think we've been really encouraged by the response. Especially some of those larger names in the Christian world. We've been so blessed. But, Dr. Julie Slattery said this is one of the most important books she's read on the topic for parents. We've been working with small teams to field test some of the ideas and the content while we were writing. And so many of the parents we reached out to said how hopeful, how encouraging the book was. And how practical it was. And so I think there's a combination there of depth and practicality that we're really pleased people are finding that and responding to it. So I think parents are going to really enjoy digging into this. It's going to be challenging. Obviously, it's a hard topic, but I think they're going to be surprised by how practical and hope-filled and really godly this book is.
We're talking about the book. It's out today, as they mentioned, Treading Boldly Through a Pornographic World, a field guide for parents. Daniel Weiss and Josh Glaser there as you're watching Facebook Live and YouTube Live. I'm going to throw you a softball, Josh. What's a win for you after people have read this and actually used it? What's a win?
Oh, man. I'll give you two answers to that if I could. One is we keep thinking about this next generation. So the idea that there would be kids growing up in an environment where their parents are their best ally in this way, they feel free and good about talking to mom and dad about what's going on for them and where they're experiencing desire and temptation, all the confusion in the culture. And then they begin to raise their next generation of kids. with that equipped in that way. The other win for us would really be if church groups, adults, parents, and church groups began to pick up this book and said, we want to go through this together, because we really are the first generation of parents to raise kids in a culture like this. And so we want to stand on each other's shoulders. We want to link arms. We want to learn from each other. And I think as communities do that together, then the kids are also experiencing this, not just from their parents, but from their parents' friends and their communities. That would be a huge win for us. We'd love to see that happen.
Check it out, treadingboldly.com. If you work at a church, get several copies and distribute them to the youth parents in your church. I mean, what a great thing, what a great gift to give to the parents of the youth, maybe as school starts again, a way to combat this epidemic, really, that has hit our world.
Yeah, great book, Treading Boldly Through a Pornographic World, a field guide for parents. Daniel and Josh, is there another book coming up? Same topic, maybe another topic? What's in that head of yours, Daniel?
Well, this one took quite a few years to write, and so we're just focused on getting this one into the world. But we'll see. I think a lot of it depends on the response. I mean, we're hopeful for a good response. We think this is the kind of book parents are looking for. And if there's a need for more, content and guidance on talking about sex, I think Josh and I are interested.
Josh, what about you? Yeah, I long to write a book. The next book for me is really written to men. There's along with the culture that we're experiencing for kids right now, I think there are so many men in the culture that have grown up with this concept that lust is just what men do. Mm-hmm. And to paraphrase the late Pope John Paul II, the problem with pornography is not that it shows too much, it's that it shows too little. And I believe there's a special place in the heart of God's people today to really become people who see instead of who lust. And so that's the next book on the horizon for me.
Hey guys, thank you for not only your time today, but thanks for again going bold and putting this together for parents, for kids, Treading Boldly Through a Pornographic World, a field guide for parents. Dan has got the website there, treadingboldly.com. Check it out, guys. We'd love to talk to you again. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst,
and I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.